In the culture and the fashion of my forefathers, allow me to salute you. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one.
Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one.
All right, allow me to set the tone. We're going to read in Psalms chapter 146. Man, I'm loud. Praise ye the Lord. Praise the Lord, O my soul. While I live, will I praise the Lord. I will sing praises unto the God while I have any being. Put not your trust in princes, nor in the sons of man, in whom there is no help. His breath goeth forth, he returneth to the earth. In that very day his thoughts perish, in that very day. Happy is he that hath the God of Jacob as his help, whose hope is in the Lord his God, which have made heaven and the earth and the sea and all that therein is, which keepeth truth forever, which executeth judgment for the oppressed, which giveth food to the hungry. The Lord loseth the prisoners. The Lord openeth the eyes of the blind. The Lord raiseth them that are bowed down. The Lord loveth the righteous. The Lord preserveth the strangers. He relieved the fatherless and widow. But the way of the wicked he turned upside down. The Lord shall reign forever, even thy God, O Zion, unto all generations. Praise ye the Lord. Selah and Selah. Amen. In the name of love. I got you. In the name of love. You know, what do people do in the name of love? That's the title of the lesson, In the Name of Love. I think it's a very beautiful title. But people do so many things in the name of love, right? People go to war in the name of love. People die in the name of love, right? Love has this romanticization about love and what love does to a man and a woman, right? I'm going to get into it, but love is a very powerful thing. You know, it's a force in the human experience. You know, it inspires creation. You know, you think the love that a man has for a woman inspires him to make a child with her, right? It inspires creation. It builds connection between people. It defines purpose, right? Yet it could be misunderstood. Love could be misplaced. And it can lead us to the very pits of hell, to destruction, right? Got us in positions to compromise our principles and make regrets as far as what we're doing in our lives, the compromising decisions that we're going to make for in the name of love. But what does it truly mean to act in the name of love? What does that truly mean? You know, there's stories about, you know, we read about Romeo and Juliet, right? That's a popular tale about young love or true love, right? You see these two young boy and girl who's on two opposite sides. So basically the story of Romeo and Juliet, you have a boy who is a part of one gang, from my understanding anyway. There's a boy part of a gang, and then there's a girl part of another gang, and they're enemies, but they love each other so much that it's the tragedy in the story, because in the end of the story, in Romeo and Juliet, you see they're willing to die for their love, right? I love you so much, I'm willing to die. Like, that's a powerful thing, right? And love is a very beautiful thing, but it's also a very terrifying thing as well. And it's very, very much powerful. You know, that spirit of love. You know, I like to talk about the spirit of all these different things that influence us, because that's what it really is. You know, people like to reword a lot of different aspects of this human experience, all these different emotions that we have, but it's the spirit of love, right? There's a spirit of everything. There's a spirit of confusion. There's a spirit of understanding. You know, they have a spirit of Egypt. They have a spirit of destruction. You understand? There's a spirit of everything. And this world is governed by the spirit. So when I'm talking about the spirit of love, in the scriptures, when it talks about the spirit, it talks about how the spirit quickens the flesh, right? The spirit makes the flesh get up and move, right? That's what the spirit does. You understand? And you got to understand there's so many different, that's a very influential thing that could get your body up to do anything, right? That's highly influential. So when I'm talking about the spirit of love, it's the influence of love, right? Loving somebody is a very spiritual thing. You know, you ever loving somebody is very spiritual. Like, it's a very spiritual experience. A lot of people have a lot of these spiritual experiences, but they have no idea. They don't have the sense of discernment to determine that. Has anybody ever, like, for instance, there was this guy, or here's an example. Has anybody ever met somebody that they do not know? You don't know this person, and you haven't even had a conversation with them. You haven't even said anything. You just look and you see them in their presence, and you're walking towards them. Say there's somebody you have to introduce yourself to, and there's something in your belly. It's just like, yo, I don't like this guy. For some reason, I don't like this person, or this person just makes me feel uneasy. You know, I don't know what it is about that guy. Like, how'd you feel about Jonathan, man? I don't know about that guy, man. I don't know what it is about him. But trust and believe, when he does something, just know that I said it first. I never trusted that guy. Just know I said that first. That feeling, that's a very spiritual thing to experience, right? That's your spirit is in conflict with another spirit. That man has a spirit that my spirit doesn't like. That's how we have to look at things, right? My spirit is reacting in a way that has this result, right? This spiritual influence is influencing me to do X, Y, and Z, right? It's always the spirit, because again, the spirit is what quickens the flesh, right? So emotions. So it's really just one of those emotions, right? Our emotions can tell us a lot about ourselves. Our emotions can teach us so much as far as what it is in life. You understand? What it is about yourself. Like, if I was to feel angry about something, if I was to feel that spirit of anger, what is that an indication of? That's an indication possibly that I got to set some boundaries, right? I'm feeling that emotion, right? It tells me something, right? If I'm feeling anxiety or I'm feeling anxious about something, that's an indication of something that needs to happen, right? The God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob is such a beautiful, he's such a genius in how he crafts the human body, and because everything has a purpose and everything is intentional with how you're feeling, even all the things that is around you that's happening around you. It's all intentional, right? So when you're feeling these emotions, this is an intentional indication of something, right? I'm feeling anxious. This is an indication that, possibly I'm in a situation I shouldn't even be in. I need to get up and move, right? So our emotions tell us so many things about who we are and what is happening around us, because it all boils down to communication. There's so many things around us that is communicating with us that you have to have the sense of discernment to determine what actually is being communicated with me, right? The other day, what was it, Sunday, was my grandfather's feast. That was Corrine in the back, the one lady, the one woo was Corrine in the back. Give her a shout out. My grandfather's feast was last week. What was that, on Sunday? And in the topic of love, he had this song. I was paying him homage by doing some of his songs, right? And I'm listening to his songs, listening to his music, and it's just like, I'm listening to the lyrics. It's just like, oh man, like this guy really was in love, man. You hear the song, there's this one song called One More Time. And it's like, let's make love one more time before you go. Hold on. That's how you say it. But listen what he's saying, though. This is what I'm saying with the lyrics. Let's make love one more time before you go. For tomorrow you won't be here, and the sweet memories of yesterday makes me say, let's give it a try. Honey, one more time. Right? Like, that's a feeling of love. You talk about let's make love one more time. Like, man was in love. And I asked him, too. I'm like, yo, who you write this about? We have all these love songs. Like, I love me a good love song, man. It's just something about, like the soul speaking to you in a way, right? And I'm asking, I'm like, yo, who you write these songs about? All these love songs you see that's so popular. I wonder, like, who would they write these songs about? Like, sometimes you probably see some of the people that they wrote it about. I was like, dang, you wrote it about her? Oh, my God. But I was asking him who he wrote it about, but he didn't want to tell me. But I figure it's probably one of my grannies. It's one of them. But love, that feeling of love, right? It's that it speaks, right? It communicates. You're able to even communicate through the music, through that feeling of feeling so attached to something, right? And then funny thing, my grandpa, when he was giving his speech, he was like, I never received love in my life, so I don't miss it. I'm like, dang, you never received love in this life, so you don't miss it? That's a tragedy. That's a me personally, listen, let me tell you, man, I'm a big fan of love, man. I'm a big fan, man. I love love. I love to love. I love to love somebody. I love when people are loving on me. I love to be loved. I love the idea of love, the romanticization. I love me some love, man. You ask anybody around, I'm going to love you. I'm going to give you some love, man. Trust and believe. I'm going to give you anything. I'm going to give you some love. And I'm even thinking about, in writing this lesson, about what love is. You know, I'm thinking about even my daughter and when she was born and just like how much I love her, the love that a parent has for a child. And it's one of those things, it's like you can't compare a love a parent has for a child to the love that a child has for a parent. It's just like, you cannot compare the two, right? Because I'm thinking about when my daughter Zabaya was born and I'm looking at her, you know, and I'm just like, yo, I would die for this little girl. Like, I would die because I already am in love with this little girl. But I don't know her, though. You understand? Like, I don't know this little girl. I just met her. You understand? But I love her to this degree. You understand? That's a very powerful thing to have that love for something, right? And our perception of these ideas are a very powerful thing as well, because you could perceive yourself into reality, into real things. I'll tell you a story. You guys could look this up. I was telling the other MOV leaders about this, but there's this article about, this is to show how powerful the mind is. And when we talk about the mind, remember, Elder Michael had explained this a few lessons before, but when you're talking about the mind, you're talking about the spirit, right? You're talking about what is moving. Like, you need the mind in order for the body to move, right? And all these different emotions, you can see, the God of Israel was very genius in how he puts things together, even to a molecular level, to down to the atoms, right? All these things is intentional by the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, right? So it's just like, your perception, your mind is a powerful thing, because the relationship between the spirit and the physical, it's parallel, right? Anything that happens to you physically is a reflection of something spiritual, and anything that happens to you spiritually, it could be a reflection of something that's happening physically. But it's always a spiritual thing. It's always a spiritual thing. And there's this story about this guy. He basically, you can look it up. He basically, his job was to like repair deep freezers or something like that. And the guy has a late shift. He has one more freezer that he has to finish, that he has to fix. So he goes on a late night shift. All right, honey, I'm gonna be back at in 30 minutes. I just gotta fix this freezer and I'll be back. He goes late at night, opens the freezer. He's checking around to see what the problem is. And then the door closes on him. He's like, what the heck? He's trying to open the door and he's locked in there. So now he starts to panic. He's panicking. He's in his head now. Right? He's panicking. Oh my God, like, how am I gonna get out? There's nobody else in the building. It's late night. How am I gonna get out of here? And now, you know, he's starting to accept his fate. And he's starting to, okay, oh man, it's been 2 hours now. I'm starting to lose the feelings in my fingers, right? And he's starting to document these things on the wall. Okay, on my heart, I can feel my heart beat. My heart rate is going lower and lower. I can feel all these things happening. I can't feel my legs anymore. And the guy documented all the way up until the point where he actually died. The guy went and died, right? And so in the autopsy, they get the guy out of the freezer, and they do the autopsy, and the freezer wasn't even on. You understand? The freezer wasn't even on. The guy willed himself to die. He thought himself to death, right? So it's just like to show that powerful spirit, that powerful influence can have a very, very real consequence or very real outcome, right? You look at things and you see things with your eyes and you see things physically and you see that the atoms in this is so tight that I can feel this and be like, okay, this is solid, this is real, right? Because this is right in front of me. And human beings tend to make that correlation between what is real and what you can actually see, and physically feel, You understand? But I tried to even explain spirituality to my daughter the other day, and it's just like all these things, sure, you could see with your eyes, you could feel all these things with your hands, but it's like there's things that you cannot see. You can feel the wind, but you can't see it, right? What about my breath that I'm breathing in? I can't see that, but it's very much keeping me alive. There's so many things that's an indication of what is real, and it's not always what you see. You understand? Like they talk about a man, what makes a man. He's two parts of him is a part that he cannot see. He has his body, which is a part that he can see, but you also have your soul and your spirit, right? So very, very influential. And again, even talking about how I love my daughter, the love a parent has for their child, very much influential, right? So keep that in mind. So what is love? I low-key want some interactions. I want, because we talk about what love is, and the idea of love too is we don't talk about it so often here at the Israelite Nation Worldwide Ministries, because it's like, it's really the Christians have taken that and they've just perverted that, right? The love, everything is just about the love. The love is just it. You just need the love. You don't need to follow anything, it's just about the love. You have faith and you have love, then you will be saved. But that's not always the case. But what is love? I'll take some people on the mic. What is love, man? What is love? I'll wait too. I'll wait. What y'all think about love is? Because we're gonna have the discussion, because I like that Auntie Charmaine is going up. Because when we have these discussions about these ideas, whether it be love, whether it be hate, whether it be happiness, or what is a good life, what is a happy life, all these ideas, we can't have these conversations unless we have a foundation. We all have to have a foundation to build upon, because my definition could be different from his definition to her definition, and it's like before we can move forward, we all need to have an understanding that we're talking about the same thing. So go ahead, Auntie Shernette.
Love is patient. Love is kind. Love is long-suffering. Love make you feel safe. Mm-hmm. And love also make you want to do anything for the person, like you were saying about your daughter. Mm-hmm. Like nothing is too hard to do for someone that you love.
Okay.
That's it.
I see you calling in the back there. What's love? What is love?
The word love means so many different things to so many different people. So it's hard to tell you what is love, because I don't think love, just the word L-O-V-E, as a definition. And if I was to define it universally for everyone to understand, then I say God is love. The God of Israel is love. Anything else outside of that is just an emotion or something you experience at some point in time. But the true sense of that word, God of Israel is love.
Okay, Auntie Sophie. Before you go up, Auntie Sophie, raise your hand if you ever been in love. Who been in love? Oh, pardon me. All right, who's been in love? Okay. All right. Yeah, okay. All right, go ahead.
It's so funny. Colin said I should beat that. And he believes love is the God of Israel. Mm-hmm. So when I think about love, I think about acceptance. I think those two goes hand in hand. So if we look at the God of Israel, as Colin said, he accepts us for who we are. It's unconditional, but there is... It's unconditional, but there is...
Let her go. We're going to get to it.
Let's see. It's like the ingredients that helps you to also grow. Mm-hmm. So it's just not based upon one thing. Because if somebody loves me, then the acceptance comes with, I might be angry this time, I might not. You know what I mean? It comes with different things, different characteristics, different emotions, So it's, I don't know, but it's acceptance, I believe, mm-hmm. based upon the truth of who you are.
Okay. Who's next? Oh, we got a line up. All right. Right, I did ask for it,
First
right?
I'm
I
going
asked
to
for
I'm going to read
it.
first a couple of the brethren in the chat. Like S. Parker says it's an expression of affection. Tina J says it's an action word. Love is an action word.
I hear that.
And Annette Harris says love can be expressed in many ways. So now I'm going to give my version.
Okay.
A continuation from Colin and Sophie. The God of Israel is love. And if we look at how he is, his whole actions, his everything towards us, it's the kindness, it's the long suffering. But there's conditions within that love for us to really do the love right, to to show him for us to show his love language. I don't know how you want to put it, but it's conditional. There are conditions within what he has set up for us in order to fully understand and receive that love. And I think when we do fully understand and receive that love, we're going to learn to love ourselves even better, and we're going to learn to love our brethren even better.
Okay. All right, last one.
Yeah, it seems like everyone's done a really good job of encapsulating even my own thoughts of it. So I'm just going to go off on what they say. It's an action word. So therefore, even the feelings that come from it, the old saying, every action has a reaction. So the feeling is just the reaction of the action, which is love. So usually, like, I just had an experience with my daughters, and we get off the train, so they walk on the left side of me, and we all know when you get off the train on the left side, that's where the train is, and I'm pulling them off, and I tell them, do you know why I pulled you to my right side? They're like, no. It's like, because if you trip and fall and you fall down onto the train, you get hit and you're dead. I don't want that. That's a sign of love. That's my action. I didn't say, hey, girls, no, I just quickly pulled them. I didn't even think to open my mouth and say anything. I just pulled them. You know, that's love. That gut reaction, that's love. That's that action, I guess. So instead of rambling, everyone just pretty much said everything, so.
You know what my mama used to tell me? She used to, you know when your parent beats you and says, I do this because I love you. Yo, my mother used to have this big paddle, and she engraved in it, like with a knife, like she was in a dark room. The paddle of love. That was my, when you said that, it made me think of that. When you said, I do this because I love you. That's what my mama was saying to me. I'm doing this because I love you. I'm like, what do you do to people you hate? But, you know, I liked Corinne's point about using the God of Israel as an example, right? Who here believes in unconditional love? You believe in unconditional love? Okay, we have some, okay. Guys some romantics inside, all right? Unconditional love, what does that even mean? Unconditional love, no conditions? None? Zero? The acceptance? Do you think a mother has unconditional love for their child? No? Ooh, mixed responses. I was having the same debate, okay? You said no. So who believes that a mother has unconditional love for her child? Mm-hmm. Okay. Let me hear what you guys say.
I'd like to say that I think there's a little confusion, at least from my point of view, between conditions as in, thank you. Conditions as in like, kind of like rules set, like kind of like we have commandments and we have the laws that the God of Israel has given to us for him to love us and for us to love him. Those are conditions. But I think people get confused between unconditional as between the laws and actual just continuous love. Like, I'm going to love you. Like when someone says, I'm going to love you forever, that usually means I'm going to love you despite what you do, despite what you say. I'm still going to act the same way, feel the same way. I'm still going to act the same way around you, and I'm still going to feel the same way. So I think there's a little confusion between
So even
conditions.
to what you're saying about the endless love, there's a condition. There's no conditions to the love. You're going to get it endlessly.
Yes.
There are no conditions.
But there might be certain actions that may or may, like when your mother punishes you, she still loves you.
Yes.
But they're still going to take away a certain thing for that consequence. Yes, the consequence is still there. They love you, and that's why they're giving you the consequence, so you learn from your mistakes. So the love is still there. It still continues. There's continuous love, but the condition, you broke the condition of that action that came from that love. So that part of the love is being taken away. So it could be video games. It could be hugs. It could be kisses. It could be anything that at that moment, that mother or father is gonna take away from you.
Right. I mean, but the hugs and kisses don't mean, that don't mean love though, right? That don't mean love though. Like that, what you're talking about is discipline, right? That is an act of love. To discipline your child, to show them accountability, right? Because your child is an extension of yourself. So if I'm disciplining my child, it's because I love you, because I want you to go out in this world and people to have favor towards you, right? You don't do that. Have some manners, right? So that's love. Go ahead, Colin.
The word unconditional cannot be applied to love or to life, because in our physical world, there are consequences to everything that we do.
It's a fact.
So there's always a condition. So go back to what I said. The God of Israel is love. Does it come with condition? But of course, if you love me, keep my commandments. So unconditional love does not exist. And yeah, I can love you forever, but
Right.
the love won't change.
Right.
But if you ever look over the fence, I'll still love you, but there's conditions. So there's no unconditional love. Endless love probably, but unconditional love, that don't exist.
You know, thank you, Colin. I love using the God of Israel as an example as far as the true definitions of things. Because we even think about words like, there's a lot of things that we have our own definitions for, love being one of them. We all have our own definitions of what love is, right? Even perfection. When you think about perfection, like what do you think about? You think of something that's symmetrical, that is aligned perfectly, a guy with OCD, okay? This is perfect, right? But when the God of Israel talks about perfection, and he told Abraham, walk before me and be thou perfect, what is the definition of perfect? What does it mean, right? So the God of Israel example is, I love using him as an example. You have a comment, Corinne? You're good? So let's go ahead and turn to John chapter 14, and I'm gonna hit on that same scripture that Colin had mentioned, but we're gonna read it through. So John chapter 14, we're gonna start at verse number 1. We're gonna go down to 15. Let not your heart be troubled. So this is the Christ speaking, right? So this is the air is thick right now, right? Everybody is concerned. This is about to be the end. You understand? So you already can tell how the air is thick. The tension is probably thick, right? For the Christ to be like, let not your heart be troubled. Ye believe in God. Also, don't just believe in God, also believe in me, right? That's a little nugget for the two separate entities, right? Believe also in me. Verse 2, in my Father's house are many mansions. If it were not so, I would have told you. I go to prepare a place for you. And if I go and prepare a place for you, I will come again and receive you unto myself, that where I am, there ye may be also. And whither I go, ye know the way ye know. Thomas said unto him, Lord, we know not whither thou goest, and how can we know the way? Jesus said unto him, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No man cometh unto the Father but by me. Right? Even that relationship, so even going again to that relationship between a father and a son, you can imagine between the Christ and the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, that relation. He's his only begotten son, right? Begotten. You understand? An extension of me. When I think of my children, as an extension of myself, right? And I was saying it a little bit last night on a Friday night, just about like when a child is only his name, right? And if you disrespect my child, you're not just disrespecting him by himself. You're disrespecting the father as well, right? So that relationship, like, keep that in mind too. Where am I? Verse 8, 7. If ye had known me, ye should have known my Father also. And from henceforth ye know him, and have seen him. Philip said unto him, Lord, show us the Father, and it sufficeth us. Jesus said unto him, have I been so long time with you? I've been with you for so long, and yet hast thou not known me, Philip. Philip. He that hath seen me hath seen the Father. And how sayest thou then, show us the Father? How are you telling me that? Verse 10, believest thou not that I am in the Father in me? The words that I speak unto you, I speak not of myself, but the Father that dwelleth in me, he doeth the works, right? That's like my father giving me game, man. My father taught me this, right? He doeth the works. Even when a child does something bad, it's still a reflection of the father, right? It's like you look at the parent like, what are you teaching this youth, right? That connection there, you see that relation, that love here, even between the father and son. Verse 11, believe me that I am in the Father. Verse 12, verily, verily, I say unto you, he that believeth in me, the works that I do shall he do also. And greater works than these shall he do, because I go unto my Father. And whatsoever ye shall ask in my name, that will I do, that the Father may be glorified in the Son. If ye shall ask anything in my name, I will do it, right? That sounds like love, don't it? And then in verse 15 it says, if ye love me, what? Keep my commandments. So even looking at, because this is right? The Christ represents the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, right? He's coming here as an ambassador, as a representative. And he's saying, if ye love me, keep my commandments. That's the condition, right? You don't love me if you don't keep my commandments. And that same thing, it's always, everything that's in the heavens, you see it reflect down here on the earth. So it's the same thing could be applied when we're talking about love, right? Love can't be unconditional. You understand? A mother probably has like very few conditions as far as like her love for her son. You know, a mother always loves their son. You see, even Pablo Escobar, her mom was on the TV like, oh, he's such a good boy, I don't know. You understand? Because she loves her son. But guaranteed, if he was to do something grimy to her, like, she'd be like, what? That love there are conditions. There are conditions. It may be extreme for a mother, a parent, but there are conditions. Guaranteed, trust and believe, you could destroy your relationship between your parents, right? So the responsibility, so going back to that definition, right? So we have a definition of perfection, and we see how it differs from our own definition of what perfection is, right? Walk before me and be thy perfect, right? It's not what we think perfection is. And the same thing with love. If ye love me, keep my commandments. So there are conditions to the love. If you don't follow the commandments, you don't love me. If you don't follow the commandments, you ain't gonna get the love from me either, right? So responsibility, right? It's all these different things. You know, I was having a lot of different conversations about love and what it is, and I have a lot of different debates about it. You know, because I was actually talking to my auntie in the car one night when we was going home. And we were talking about what love really means. And everybody talks about love, and there's all these different things. It's like, you know, when somebody that loves me, I trust them, and, you know, I want them to be by my side, and, you know, all these different things behind the love. And I was just saying, love is really just that, you know, you know what I'm saying? Like, I love you. I don't even know. Sometimes you just like, I don't know what it is about you, why I love you. You know, sometimes there's not always a reason, right? But sometimes that love, again, going back to the spirit of what love is, and the spirit quickening the flesh is very, very powerful, that love, right? That influence. But in accordance to the definition that we get as far as what love is for the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, it is conditional, right? So there's a responsibility there that's with that love. Right? It's beyond just the feelings, right? Love is not simply just a feeling. It is a responsibility. You know, to act in the name of love, you have to take ownership and power of the consequences that come with that, right? People, I heard somebody say that love is an action verb or action word. It's a verb being an action word, right? Love demands action. It's not enough just to declare your love, but it has to be shown in a type of way. If the spirit quickens the flesh, you're going to show it in some type of way, right? It's not just a declaration of love, but it's an action. It is an action, right? Love is a verb, so I'll take that one. Love also requires boundaries as well. So even based on that one verse in itself can tell you so much, right? You'll see love requires boundaries, right? If ye love me, keep my commandments. Imagine if that wasn't there. If you could just love, I'll love you just because. People take advantage of that. Look at the people. Look at the people in the book and how they exploit, how they exhaust that love, right? The God of Israel was probably exhausted with that love. One of my aunties asked me, maybe I shouldn't say this on live. I was talking to one of my aunties about a situation, past situation, and I was telling her about everything that I went through, and she was like, "Oh man, like, damn, you don't feel like you could do something to make that work?" And I was telling her like that type of love that was. It was exhausted, like that dumb, like we've all like, I don't say we all, I can't because I asked who's experienced love and there was nobody who wouldn't raise their hand. There was mad people who didn't experience love. But it's just like that dumb, like when you're young and dumb and that feeling that you feel like, oh, I love him so much or I love her so much, like that feeling, like that potency, like the essence of what that is. Like that's just like, it's highly potent at that age, but that essence of what that is a beautiful thing. Right, and it moved you to do so many things for people that probably didn't even deserve it. But it was out of the name of love, you're willing to, out of the name of love, right? You're willing to do all these things. But you see, truly, if you want to be responsible as far as how you use your love and how you utilize the love, there's a responsibility that comes with it, right? And you'll see here, if ye love me, keep my commandments. And you'll see the boundaries that are set. True love does not enable harm or tolerate wrongdoing. It forms when necessary, and it protects. You understand? And the parent and the child being a great example. The example of disciplining your child and accountability. That what does it mean to show accountability to somebody? That's a form of love, right? So love is a very powerful thing. So legacy. When I think about love, too, I think about commitment, right? Think about the family structure. The family, you can't start a family without love. I mean, there are people, the exception is not the rule, but you love somebody to the point where you want to start a family with them, right? And so it's the legacy that comes, that feeling of love is very much necessary, right? In order for you to, that flesh to be quickened, in order for you to start that legacy, right? So correlating love and the legacy, every act of love, it leaves a mark. And the question is whether that mark is going to build or is that mark going to destroy? Is that mark going to unite or is it going to divide? Is it going to endure or is it going to fade? Right? There's different type of legacies that you can have. Like you can have a positive legacy that uplifts. Like when you think of a positive legacy, like positive love, it's a love that uplifts you, nurtures you, and inspires you. That's the type of love that we all can see and value, right? We all want that type of love in our life, right? But if you have somebody who loves you, who really just loves themselves, right? That's rooted in selfishness and is misjudgment, and it can leave scars and it can leave a negative impact of what love really is in your life, right? But we want to come back to the true definition of what love really is. Because again, Christianity has come and taken love and run away with it. So it's like whenever we talk about love and God being love and Colin saying things like God being love, it sounds very Christian, but it's like that idea, just like how we want to take back these same scriptures and reclaim the scriptures and the stories and that's in the books, the laws, the statutes, and the commandments, same way we want to reclaim these terms like love and faith, right? All these things, we make it synonymous with a culture that doesn't practice it properly. Right? They don't follow the laws at all. They don't keep the commandments at all. So how could they love God if they don't follow the commandments? right? You even look at King Solomon, and that being an example of how that love can misguide you, right? And lead you away. Like Solomon didn't love the God of Israel at that end because of his actions. Like his actions spoke, right? His actions spoke. Just how love can speak positively, and love can also speak negatively, right? All these things have to be considered when we're talking about love. So acting in the name of love, it requires us to think beyond the moment. You know, while our love builds a foundation for others to stand on, or it could crumble under the weight of our own mistakes as well. So the true measure of what love really is. So an example, before I even get into that, an example I wanted to get into about how that love can be misguided. I wanted to get into the story about, because there's so many people that loved in the Bible. You know, Adam loved Eve. You know, Jacob loved Rachel, like loved her, like willing to work 7 years of his life, give up 7 years of his life because of that. He didn't even know her. But it's that strong spirit that influenced him, that made him work for 7 years straight. That spirit was waxing hot in him for 7 years. Well, 14 years, really. Because he was tricked. He at the first 7 years, he went and got Leah, and then after, he was able to get the girl that he actually wanted. But let's look at other examples as far as how love can be misplaced. So the story of Samson and Delilah. I was hoping Samson was going to be here because I wanted to look at him when I was when I was reading this story. But let's go to Judges chapter 16. All right, so they're starting off hot. So verse number 1. Then went Samson to Gaza and saw there a harlot and went into unto her. And he saw a harlot and went into her. All right. Verse 2. And it was told the Gazites, saying, Samson is come hither. Right? They all know Samson is in the town. And they compassed him in and laid wait for him all night in the gate of the city. And were quiet all the night, saying, in the morning, when it is day, we shall kill him. Right? They know he's in the city, and they're conspiring, they're waiting. Because they've heard of Samson, right? Samson is a very strong man, and he's built a reputation for himself, right? So they're all conspiring now. Okay, in the morning, we're going to kill him. He in our city now. Verse 3. And Samson lay till midnight, and arose at midnight, and took the doors off the gate of the city, and the two posts, and went away from them, bar and all, and put them under his shoulders, and carried them up to the top of a hill that is before Hebron. So literally took the door off the handles, right? He woke up in the middle of the night. I don't know what possessed him. He went and just ripped the doors out the handle of the door, right? Verse 4, and it came to pass afterward that he loved a woman in the valley of Sorek, whose name was Delilah. So he loved her, right? You think he knew her? Think he knew? Well, it says he knew her in the verse 1, but you think he really knew her? Not just with her, but knew her. And he loved a woman in the valley of Sorek, whose name was Delilah. Verse 5, and the Lord of the Philistines came up unto her and said unto her, entice him, and see wherein his great strength lieth, and by that means we may prevail against him. So look, knowing that love is a very powerful thing, but it can also be used to manipulate you at the same time if you're not keen to what's going on around you, right? And the Philistines understanding how a man is and how a man loves love. A man does love love. And a man does a lot of things for love, but just love alone. He don't want nothing else but just love from a woman. And the Philistines understand that. It's like, okay, let's get Delilah, and she's going to entice him, right? To see wherein his great strength lieth. So we know where his strength lieth. Because, they talk that saying pillow talking, it comes because a man and a woman, like being in love is a very vulnerable thing. And it's like the intimacy a man has with a woman that he loves is different than, that woman knows him on a different type of level. Like, she knows him on a level that not even his mother knows him on that type of level, right? So that's a very powerful position, the woman that you decide to love, right? The man that you decide to love, you're putting them in a very, very high position in your life, right? So they're saying to entice him and see wherein his strength lieth. And by that means we may prevail against him, and we may bind him to afflict him. And we will give thee every one of us, and we will give thee every one of us 1,100 pieces of silver. So there's the bribery. Okay. Now you're talking. Okay. 1,100 pieces of silver. I wonder how much that equates. 1,100 regular dollars is a lot. So I can imagine how much that is in silver. Verse 6. And Delilah said to Samson, Tell me, baby. She probably talking to him sweet. I pray thee, wherein thy great strength lieth. Thy great, see how she buttering him up and stroking his ego? Wherein thy great strength lieth. And wherewith thou mightest be sound to afflict thee. And Samson said unto her, If they bind me with 7 green wreaths that were never dried, then shall I be weak and be another man. So, so basically he told her a lie, right? He said, baby, bind me with 7 green wreaths that have never been dried, and that's how you take my strength away, right? He told her a little, it's a lie. I was about to say he told her a fib, but it was a lie, straight lie. Because that's not how you take the strength away, in no means at all. Verse number 8. Then the lords of the Philistines brought up her 7 green wreaths, which had not been dried, and she bound him with them. Now there were men lying in wait, abiding with her in the chamber. And she said unto them, The Philistines be upon thee, Samson. And he brake the wreaths, and a thread of tow is broken when it touches the fire. So his strength was not known. So he went and broke it, right? Verse number 10. And Delilah said unto Samson, Behold, thou hast mocked me and told me lies. How dare you? She's switching it up on him. Oh my God, you went and lied to me. That's not how you take away your strength. You went and told me lies. Now tell me, I pray thee, wherewith thou mightest be bound. I don't know, Samson is the smartest guy, man. Because this first one would have been like, as soon as I told you, you need 7 sticks to take away my godly strength that was given to me. And then she's using 7 sticks. Huh? You know what I'm saying? And automatically 7 sticks. It's just like, I only told one person about this. How does she know? But look, she went and reversed it on him, probably made him feel bad. How you gonna lie to me? I thought you loved me. You just gonna lie to me? I was just checking with the Braves. She said, I love you. And so what does she say? Verse number 11. And he said unto her, If thou bind me fast with new ropes that never were occupied, then shall I be weak and be as another man. So you went and told her another lie. But he's entertaining her still. He's entertaining her still. Verse 12. Delilah, therefore, took new ropes and bound him therein and said unto him, The Philistines be upon thee, Samson. Right? Where's the love? This is the love? This is the second time she's doing this. The Philistines bind thee, and there were liars in wait, abiding in the chamber, right? And she's saying the same thing. The Philistines be upon thee, Samson. And there were liars in wait, abiding in the chambers. And he brake them from off his arms like a thread. And what does she say? And Delilah said unto Samson, Whether hitherto thou hast mocked me and told me lies, tell me wherewith thou mightest be bound. And he said unto her, if thou weavest 7 locks of my head with the web. And she fastened it with the pin, and said unto him, her famous line, the Philistines be upon thee. It's like her evil, it's like, she's like an evil villain. That's like her saying, like, ha ha, I got you now. The Philistines be with thee. Oh, whoa. I would have got away with it if it wasn't for her. And then she went and did it again. Ha ha, I got you again. Fool. The Philistines be with thee. Psh, went and broke the ropes. Oh, you mocketh me. You understand? Like, this is like a cartoon, man. What verse am I at? 15? 14. And she fastened, right, so this is his last lie. And he went and told her 2 lies. This is his last lie. And she fastened it with the pin and said unto him, the Philistines be with thee. Ha ha ha. Samson, gotcha. And he awakened out of his sleep and went away with the pin of the beam and with the web. And she said unto him, how canst thou say, I love thee? How can you say that you love me? Yo, I literally, when I stepped back from the where am I? Where? 15. Okay, let me read from the top. I'm sorry, when I stepped back, I lost it. And she said unto him, how canst thou say, I love thee, when thine heart is not with me? Thou hast mocked me these 3 times, and hast not told me wherein thy great strength lieth. So your heart is not with thee. She knows how to manipulate a man. In the first chapter, it says she's a harlot. The first verse, he went and saw a harlot. She's dealt with she knows how to stroke a man's ego, right? For her to be able to get this off 3 times, I'm assuming she's very good in what she's doing. I'm not going to just say Samson's an idiot. I'm not just going to say that. You know, I'll give her to her skills. That's what it has to be. She had to have been beautiful and just how she talked to him. And look how she's telling him, I thought thou loved. How can you say that you love me when thine heart is not with me? Right? Thy heart. And so verse 17, no, 16. And it came to pass when she pressed him daily with her words and urged him, probably rubbed her back, rubbing his feet, so that his soul was vexed unto death, that he told her all his heart. She went and broke him, that he told her all his heart, and said unto her, there hath not come a razor upon my head. Oh my God. For I have been a Nazarite unto God from my mother's womb. If I be shaven, then my strength will go from me, and I shall become weak and be like any other man. There it is, baby. Are you happy now? It's my hair. And when Delilah saw that he had told her all his heart, she sent and called for the lords of the Philistines, saying, come up this once, for he has shown me all his heart. Ha 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 ha. Finally. Then the lords of the Philistines came up unto her and brought money in their hand. Hey, here you go, baby. You know what I'm saying? You did good. And she made him sleep upon her knees, and she called for a man. And she called him to shave off the 7 locks off of his head. And she began to afflict him, and his strength went from him. I don't think I need to read any further. So you see what love can do to a man. Love can blind him. Because guarantee if he didn't like her like that, by the first time, if a regular person I don't like was to try to, hey, man, I see that you're very strong, so just asking, how do you lose that strength? Just asking. Oh, just get 7 rapes. Just get 7 rapes. Like me saying it ironically. Like, yeah, just get 7 rapes and that'll be gone. Okay. He leaves and then he comes back. 7 rapes. From that moment, I'm not trusting you. From like the love that I have from you is not enough Like the love ain't enough all the time. You understand? Sometimes you love somebody so much, but it's just like, I don't trust you. So what does it mean to love you? You understand? Like, what is love if I can't trust you, if I can't build with you, if I can't connect with you? Like, all these things matter. It's not just love alone. You see what love alone can do to you. Love alone will have you cutting your, pillow talking and revealing all your secrets, man. No, I'm not. I hear you, Grandpa, in the back. He's agreeing with me. Matthew's been in love, that's why. Love is a beautiful thing. I'm happy to be able to live life and experience love because it's a very, very much beautiful thing. And so to close it up, because I don't want to go on a tangent, the true measure of what love really is, to act in the name of love is to align yourself with higher values, right? The Lord said, if thy love me, keep my commandments, right? There's a higher structure, and think about the love a father has for his child, right? And last night, the Friday night, we spoke about it a little bit, that relationship between a father and a child, between a father and his son, between a father and his child in general. Well, between a father and his son, to be particular, because it's like he sees himself in his son. So he doesn't want his son to have no guidance and be out in this world and be wayward and, because that's a reflection of me and my teachings. A father wants to give game to his son. He wants to give him the cheat code. Listen, son, this is what is meant for you to do. If you want to be great, like remember, like you're only your name. Like you're my name. Like my name is your name. So if you look bad, that makes me look bad. So I don't want you to look bad. Remember that. And he said he gave you these commandments because he loves you, right? The father has this love for this child, and he wants to give him the value. You understand? He wants to give him these lessons. When a parent beats their child, they want to give them that accountability so that they correct themselves so they're a better person in the future, right? That's love. That's love. Love is not self-serving. And we speak about it all the time. All the commandments, the laws, and the statutes, and everything that the God of Israel has ever given us has not been for us. It's not been for him, sorry. It's been for us. Like it's been for us, only for us. You understand? He's given the very best in knowledge and gain to his children. And what do? We want to be a rebellious house. We don't want to love him back, basically. So love is aligning yourself with those higher values, right? The sacrifice, the humility, the truth, right? The truth. Really, we should have love for the truth because it's all about the truth and the lie. There isn't two truths. There's only one truth and one lie. And love that seeks its own gain is not love at all. It's selfishness. Your love is not supposed to compromise your principles. You understand? Your love is supposed to fortify them and strengthen them. That's what your love is supposed to do. Love is a powerful tool that people can use against you, or you can use it for your benefit, to grow within yourself, to extend yourself genuinely and connect with people. To be in love is a risk. To be in love is to be vulnerable, right? But it's like scared money don't make no money. How you supposed to make any money if you ain't willing to risk it? No, so you have to risk it. Like to be in love is a risk, but scared money don't make no money. And really and truly, there's two types of people in this world. You have people who are like Cain and people who are like Abel. Abel's sacrifice was the best that he had to offer, right? It was given with reverence, it was given with love, and it was given with a deep understanding of what it truly means to honor the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. And then on the contrast, you have Cain, whose sacrifice was careless, it was half-hearted, and it was just like a duty, but it was performed without devotion, right? In this world, whether you like it or not, it will demand your effort. It will call for excellence and dedication, right? And love for what you're doing. And you can either embrace that sacrifice that you need to give and take that risk, or you could be at risk to be a detriment to the people that surround you, right? You know, trusting and loving the God of Israel, loving his commandments and statutes and his laws, you know, that gives you your wings. That gives you your wings. You know, somebody told me a quote. I'll end with this quote because I have literally 3, 2, 1. I'm officially over. There's this quote. So even going off what I said about that love giving you wings, you know, if a bird, so someone told me this the other day, if a bird was to land on a tree, does it trust in the branch or does it trust in its wings? Because I've seen many birds land on branches, but I've never seen a branch break and a bird fall and die. I've never seen that. So trust in your wings, trust in the love that the God of Israel has for his child. You're his child, right? The love that he has for you, trust in that. And trust in him as well. And when he tells you, if you want to, and then love me as well, like I love you, make sure to keep my commandments. And with that, I give you peace.
Hello. I hope you are enjoying our program so far. We are so thrilled you have decided to join us for today's event. If this is your first time, go ahead and hit that subscription button, and don't forget to click the notification bell so that you can stay up to date on all of our upcoming videos. Also, please like, comment, and share our videos. We truly appreciate it. We are so passionate about sharing our Israelite culture, and we welcome your generosity in helping us to reach more people. So please feel free to leave us donations. If you are thinking about joining us and would like to learn more, fill out the form in the description below, and one of our team members from the Welcome Committee will be in contact with you shortly. I thank you for your time and look forward to seeing you soon. And with that, I bid you peace, love, truth, prosperity, and power.
How long wilt thou forget me, O Lord, forever? How long wilt thou hide thy face from me? How long shall I take counsel in my soul, having sorrow in my heart daily? How long shall mine enemies be exalted over me? Consider and hear me, O Lord my God. Lighten mine eyes, lest I sleep the sleep of death. Lest mine enemies say, I have prevailed against him, and those that trouble me rejoice when I am moved. But I have trusted in thy mercy. My heart shall rejoice in thy salvation. I will sing unto the Lord because he has dealt bountifully with me. Selah and Selah. Amen. Peace, everyone. Peace. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in this world. Wow, wasn't that a wonderful message? Wow. Yes, come on, don't be shy. That was a fantastic message. I thank the young man, Chris. He's really coming along, and he's doing such a fantastic job. And he took all my scriptures and everything that I was going to say today, so I'm going to have to change this up a little bit. So, during the week we had a conversation. I had this conversation with a few of the young men, and we were talking about love, and it was really quite interesting, the different kinds of answers that you receive. But one thing that I have to say, I was just like skimming through some of these the comments here, and you might see me going back and forth from time to time. One thing that kind of stood out to me, and it is what it is, okay? But we're just going to put it out there. We don't like to mince our words. We want to tell the truth because this is what we're about, right? Our elder did his message last week, which was phenomenal. I hope you guys had an opportunity to see it. If you haven't, please do so. And one of the things that he was talking about was philosophy. Okay, I admit, I studied philosophy, okay. All right, enough about that. Enough about that. But one of the most remarkable thing is what he was showing was that how philosophy can be so incredibly confusing. And it does that. And it's so It's so bright and it's so bold because it can take something which you know to be true, and it can highlight it in bold words and put flowers and lights around it, which is a lie, and make it also seem very plausible, right? Does anyone understand what I'm trying to say? It takes what is true, inject lies into it, and everybody believes it. It's like, oh my gosh, it's so profound, right? Oh my goodness, that was so touching. But it's a lie. And it's only just one twist of a word, as I saw here earlier. And, maybe it's just a lack of understanding. I mean, that's understandable. But when you put it out there that the word was Jesus, we're going to John 1, by the way. Hold on a sec. No. One thing that I appreciate about the Israelite Nation Worldwide Ministries is that it's not about love. It's not about love. It's not about loving the world. When you love the world, it leads to deception. Why? Because love is a very integral emotion. And what it does, it's designed to take hold and pull at your heartstrings if it's not used in the right way. And when I came through these doors, the doors of Earl's Court, the first thing that I understood as Elder Michael you're asking everybody, what's your idea of love? What's it? Elder Michael turns around, well, I could tell you one thing, there's no love without truth. It's like, yeah, okay, Elder Michael. That's fundamentals, that's basics. Everybody knows that in the Israelite world. Everyone knows that. But Elder Michael's like, yes, that's my message. That's what I would tell them. I'm thinking to myself, okay, Elder Michael, thank you very much. Okay, well, what do you think, Chris? What do you think, Ezekiel? So I had to go to other people just to get their ideas of what they believe love to be. And it was, like I said, it was very interesting. But as I mentioned before, coming into this nation, that was the most fundamental thing. And you know what? It was actually a relief to understand that I don't have to have that silly obligation to love the world. That's a burden. It's placed on you. Oh, you gotta love everybody, you gotta love the world. Somebody just killed somebody just did this, and you got to love them, and then you gotta forgive them. And it's like, but I don't know them from Adam. Why? And do they even care? It's like, hold on a sec. There is so much more to this. It's fundamental, it's simple, but there's so much more to this. Another thing that I really enjoy, now, who are the romantics here? Come on, who are the romantics? I know my sister Sophie, oh my gosh. She used to have a stack of novels. Absolutely. So tell me, I just have a quick question. Romeo and Juliet, what say ye? What do you think about Romeo and Juliet? I know this is something different. Come on. Has anyone heard of Romeo and Juliet? What do you think of it? The love story. Sorry? A good love story. A historical romance. Anything else? Okay, let's talk about it. Again, this message is called In the Name of Love. So, I heard this years and years ago, that many believe that the greatest love story, Romeo and Juliet, is about two young people, two star-crossed lovers falling in love and so on and so forth. However, do you know that it's more of a tale of impulsive passion and recklessness? When you think about it, these guys, they're not thinking, they're not using their head, all of a sudden, they come together, a very physical attraction, okay, so we've got a little bit of lust happening there, And it's almost though it's an emotional frenzy. You know what I often say to young people, and I'm going to come back to this because I think it's really quite interesting. When you sit back, then you're going to see it, right? I always say to young people, and I'll tell you this as well, when you are at university or college or what have you, and you are studying with your peers, do not, especially the young ones, maybe the older ones, you know, you'll have the experience. Do not study with the opposite sex by yourself, okay? If you're a guy, do not go and study with a girl or all by yourself in a little room where nobody can see you, okay? Should I tell you why? You will come across emotions that you have never experienced in your life. You have no idea what is going on in your little bodies. Right? All these emotions are colliding and they're causing sparks and everything. You've not experienced that in your life. You have no idea how to handle it. So the little, oops, it's like, right. You're passing the pen. I was like, oh, oops, oh, what is that? Breathing in someone. No, I've been told this, right? So you're going through all these like strange things that's happening, right? And then it's like, what happens? Then all these like fireworks are like happening and colliding, and before you know it, you're doing something with somebody that you don't even really like that way. Or you don't want to be with that person, and then before you know it, it's like, oh, what happened? What happened? It's like you just just don't do it, okay? There's no need. Go to the library, go to the coffee shop, go and, study in a group, a group of different people, whatever, or the same people, whatever. But yeah, that's what you do for studying. Don't go to no one's room and then, close the door. And yeah, bedrooms are meant for sleeping, okay? So you don't need to go study there, right? So, or take your friends there to study. So, yeah, so this is what I'm looking at. These emotions are sometimes something that we cannot control. And so, yes, my dear.
Question for you. Are you saying that if the emotions are there, if there's a liking there, we shouldn't study one-on-one, or if we're just studying with any male, then something's going to happen?
I can't tell you what's going to happen, because at the end of the day, everybody's built differently. But what I'm saying is these things, you don't know, sometimes a little touch, you get little sparks and it's like, oh my gosh, right? And then it leads from one thing, it leads to another. So it's a situation whereby you avoid those situations because you just don't know. You've never been in that situation before. So you don't know how to handle it. You don't know what's coming at you. And I'm telling you, sometimes when it comes at you, it's like a ball and it balls you over. And it's like, you don't know whether you're coming and going. Before you know it, you're crying and you can't take your exams because, you're falling apart over what you don't know. And that's the end of your life because you can't take your exams anymore. And that's it. And it's sad, It's sad. And I know many people have gone through it. But remember, this is what it is to be young. And one of the crazy thing is, one thing that Chris mentioned is about being vulnerable. Love is about being vulnerable. And yes, it can be. And you can become really vulnerable, and it can be really a dangerous place to go. And that's why you want to be vulnerable with the right people, right? Not just anybody. There was this crazy thing that happened the other day. I'm sure lots of you heard it, but some woman, she got some record for... Yeah, exactly. I mean, my goodness. Who does that? And it is so okay now. World record. That was 100 men, okay? And she's on her way to doing 1,000. I'm like, by then your emotions are dead. Sorry.
So are you saying that love without truth is lust?
That's one area that you can go into. That's one area.
Because that's what I'm hearing, and that's what I'm feeling, the lust.
Shall I tell you why? No. you know why? Because love can also be used for deception, right? So it's not just about a physical thing, it can be deceptive, which we will go into as well. And I wanted to bring all these points together because, like I said, it's out there. Many of us growing up, it was thrown at us time and time again. Oh, just love, and everything's about love, and love, love, love. Sorry.
Based upon the topic. Mm-hmm. So is it worse, because we're dealing with Israelites, right?
Yes.
Is it worse for a male to fall in love with somebody in the outside than a female?
That's another area to go into as well. There are so many different aspects and so many different avenues. I think, for anyone to fall in love with somebody on the outside, I'm not going to say whether it's wrong or right, because many people have, fallen in love with others outside and they've managed to bring them in. Some people are even together, they're not even in love until later on in life. But it's always a challenge. There's always that challenge, because what is love? Love is so many things. It's about caring. It's about, looking after somebody. One of the things I was thinking about when thinking in relation to our Father, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob, I was thinking to myself, for a woman giving birth, for example, or carrying a child, it's automatic. You're sharing so much. You're sharing your emotions. You haven't seen this baby before, but you're sharing so much that, the thought of, God forbid, anything happening, it will just, oh my goodness, it's just a very terrible, terrible thought. But then you have a man, he may be someone that travels overseas, or, somebody's that's away at war. And then he hears about, his wife or his partner, having a baby. And that man all of a sudden transforms into a warrior. It's like, anything that happens to my child, they're right in a firing line. They're not thinking twice. They haven't even met this child before. And then when they meet the child, it's like, oh my gosh, this emotion. It's like, you're so in love with this child, but you don't know them. You don't know them. But you're so in love. It's like, oh my gosh, I will do anything for this child. I'll give my child everything. I'll kill for this child. This is how, so you imagine a man feeling this for a child that he's never met before. Think about it. That to me says that love is definitely, it's a spirit that binds, that pulls, that attracts. But when we go into this, and you're going to see this when we go into the scriptures, while this is the truth, the fact remains that love, especially when we talk about our Father, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and God of Jacob, is about having a contract. You imagine, you go to Deuteronomy 28, and we've all been there. If you keep my commandments and do the things that you're supposed to do, what's going to happen? Let's go there. I didn't have Deuteronomy on my list, but let's go there, because I think it kind of demonstrates the full effect, because this is called a contract. Right? You're going into an agreement. The young man Chris, he mentioned Jacob. Jacob having to work for Rachel. And he's working for Rachel. And he's spending all that time cultivating, looking after the animals, breeding, clearing, feeding, for 7 years for the one that he loves. He spent 7 years for this woman, only to receive her sister. 7 years! He's probably lying there in the field, dreaming about the day that he and Rachel walks down the aisle. Sorry, not even walking down the aisle, but he and Rachel get together, and they're going to have their little family, and it's going to be so great, and they're going to have like 5 little boys here and 5 little girls, and he's got all these plans in his mind because he's going to be with his girl, right? but you get her sister. That, you think about that, that is rough, eh? Oh my gosh. So now, he knows that he loves this one. He loves Rachel. Okay, he gets Leah. He loves Rachel. What does he do? Because he loves her so much. What does he do? Can repeat that? 7 more years. You know what that is? That's another contract, another agreement that had to be written. So now he has to labor for another 7 years. 7 years. That to me, that's love. And the father's love. Go figure. It's like, yeah, I'm not letting my girl go just like that. It's like, yeah, you are my girl. You're going to have to work. You're going to have to work very hard for her. And, you know, so be it. I think it's like, prove it. You know, and this is the same with our God, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. People talk about unconditional love. You know, you go back to the story of Romeo and Juliet. You got two pretty much children falling in lust, as Elder Michael rightly puts. They fell in lust, and what do? It went to a diabolical end. Even the families were disturbed. Even the families were, you know, split apart. This wasn't anything that unified anything. There was no unification there. Everything was split. Split. Because there was a sense of madness. This was not true love.
Love debate going on over here. So, as his Rachel's father was what, Laban? So the question really is, did he love his daughter why he gave the first daughter to Jacob? Was that out of love, or was it because of culture or duty? Did it because he loved his daughter, or was it because it was the culture of Israel at the time? So he was just doing what was culturally right, or not just because he loved his daughter?
It could have been all of the three, all of the above. It could be all of the above. It could be culture, it could be duty, because he loved his daughter. It could even be that he wanted to spite Jacob. You know, it's like, hey, you're not going to get away with it just like that. Yes.
So he said we're having a love debate. So was being proposed in this love debate is that the word love is used generally. Everyone loves.
Yes.
So the question in the love debate behind here that you can't see, is it that people actually love, or is love a graduation to get there? Like you mentioned, the father hears a newborn, his newborn is born, and immediately he loves. So the debate was, did he really love, or was it more of a fatherly instinct, or this is where it's going, right? So that term love, does it apply, or are we using it too generally?
You know, you make a really good point, and this is one of the things I often say when we have any kind of discussions. Whatever it is, that we need to have parameters around that discussion in terms of boundaries. What do we mean by when we say love? What does it mean? And this is really the kind of what Elder Angel's asking, you know, what are we talking about? You know, and you're right. First of all, we're looking at the fact that the world, when they talk about love, it is very general, it is very open, it is very out there. And again, it's something that is used like a hook, like a fishing hook. Someone throws it out there just to capture you. You know, they get to the children. We just came out of a season whereby what happens? Oh, it's all about the children. It doesn't matter whether it's the truth or not. It's about the children. It's about getting to them. What do they like? Getting to their emotions, right? It's so easy. But one thing that we look at, yes, it is important to actually define what love is in terms of the conversation that we're having. And as I mentioned before, when we talk about the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob, there is so much more to just love. It is truth. Truth always comes first. But that truth also comes in the form of a contract, right? It comes in the form of a contract. And I would say that, for myself, looking at a guy, I would only have to ask you, what was it for you when you first had your child? What did you feel? Because you have to know what you felt. I mean, I could assume what you felt, but you must know. But love has boundaries. It has parameters. You have to, even in a relationship, you need boundaries. You need to say, well, you know what, if this happened, I mean, Elder Sophie asked earlier, is it easier for a guy or a girl to find someone on the outside? It's difficult. Everything comes with its challenges, but you need to have your boundaries. You need to be able to say, it doesn't matter what I feel for you, but if you're not doing this, and this, then I'm sorry, I cannot progress. You know what that shows, first and foremost? It shows love for yourself. You have to respect yourself enough to have those boundaries, to put them into place, so that when you are out there, young man, young lady, and you do see somebody, and they come with all these flower talk, all these like, oh my gosh, you're so beautiful, because you are beautiful, right? When they come with that talk, then you can say to them, well, you know what? You need to be able to do this, that, and the other. And this will probably just get you to the threshold, That might get you to the threshold if you do that much, right? But you're not guaranteeing anything. But you need your boundaries. Because even the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob has boundaries. And one thing that I was thinking about as well, with his boundaries, he has compassion for us. And that to me, that's hard, because going back to Deuteronomy 28, oh my gosh, where do we start? He sets it in play. It says, and it shall come to pass, if thou shalt hearken diligently unto the voice of the Lord thy God. Look, right at the beginning, there's no ifs, ands, and buts. Okay, this love is based on a condition, right? This is no, I love you, Okay, so I've been to the West Indies, right? The Caribbean. And you'd be just walking down the street, it's like, girl, you good? Girl, I love you, I love you. And it's like, okay. There's no boundaries, no parameters, no nothing. Okay, am I lying? Come on, help me, guys. Am I? No, and it's like, okay, this is like, all right. How could you say you love me? You don't even know me. You don't know me from Adam. All right. So here, right from the get-go, the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe and do all his commandments. Look at that. There's a contract right there, right at the beginning. Which I command thee this day, that the Lord thy God will set thee on high above all nations of the earth. You imagine that? We could keep his commandments and be set above all the nations of the earth. This is Israel. This is Israel. This is not the whole world. This is not the world. This is not Jesus, for those who think it's Jesus. This is not, a God by another name. This is the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. And he's speaking to his people. Again, a relationship requires two, right? And this requires a contract and a boundary. And it's so important to establish this. And the God of Israel, he is showing this through his own example. This is his example. The contract. This book here, this is the contract. This is the marriage contract. Right? And we need this. We could refer to it, it's like, okay, if I do this, maybe that's not a good thing to do. Okay? Because it's all written here. And this is the wonderful thing about the God of Israel. He's not leaving it to our memories that fade and fly away sometimes. He's writing it down so that if I don't remember, you're going to remember. you're going to remember. You're going to remember, and hopefully tell me, right? And I will tell you. So which I command thee this day, that the Lord thy God will set thee on high above all nations of the earth, and all these blessings shall come on thee, and overtake thee, if thou shalt hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God. And then it talks about the blessings. Blessings in the cities, blessings in the field, and blessings of the fruits of your body, and blessings with your children and your flock, and blessings of your basket stores, and blessings upon blessings upon blessings. So it goes on for about 14 verses of blessings, right? But if you break that contract, if you step over that boundary, what happens? Okay, you could continue reading from Deuteronomy 28:15 to the very end, which is what? 68. You could keep reading, and you will see that is what happens if you break this agreement. And it's not nice. And that's why we're here today. That is why we're here today. You know, there's another aspect of love that I wanted to look at. Because to me, this is the perfect demonstration. I mean, we have Abraham and Sarah. To me, I absolutely love their story. Why? Because you're seeing two individuals. They're not just husband and wife. They have a relationship that's enduring, that endured for such a long time. I mean, you know, Abraham was with this woman, just this woman that he loved, right? He brought her with him to his new home. You know, he protected her during the time when the other king wanted her. You know, there were so many things that he did to the point whereby she couldn't have any children for him. And what happens? You know, she's feeling guilty, she's feeling bad. So she gives him her handmaid. And then the handmaid, what happens? She gets pregnant and she's like, oh, look at me, right? So she's showing off, right? She's showing off like, oh dear, oh ma'am, I can't do anything because I've got the boss's baby, you know. It's like, you know, how dare you? You know, and Sarah, she realizes this. It's like, what the heck? What are you doing? And then she tells Abraham, she goes to him, and what does he say? You know what? Whatever you want to do, whatever you feel is right to do, you do. I'm thinking, that's my man. Yeah, I like that guy, you know. I like that guy. You know, it's like, whatever you want to do, you do. It's not, woman, oh, bear it, or whatever, or hush up, or don't say anything. No. He's not saying that. It's like, whatever you feel is right to do. You know, and it's like, okie dokie then. And she dealt with her one time. But I love this because, you know, at the end of the day, the God of Israel, he looks at the heart and he sees the heart of man and he judges the heart of man. You know, you can say whatever you want to say, but it's your heart that counts, right? And he can see that. And it's like, you know what? I'm going to bless this woman. I like her. She's got fire. She's got steam. And what does he do? He blesses her. And she has a baby. I mean, he made the promise anyway. It was going to happen. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Officer Charmaine, do you think we should change the word love to define different behavior? For example, at one point, Delilah was saying she loved him. But because at the end, Samson, right? But because at the end of the story, we realize why it worked out too. So we say, oh, she never loved him. So we know that, right? It wasn't love. So at the end of whatever the consequence of the relationship that caused it to go left, right, or center, is when we realize that, oh, this person never loved or did love. So, but before, we were thinking that, oh, we're in love, or the person said they loved it, right? And we did believe.
Yes.
So I'm saying at that point, we should start calling it what it is and don't call it love. Because we're really playing with the words.
You know, but this is
So
what
don't you
life
think we
is.
should
This
change
goes
the
back
word?
to the whole philosophical debate. So what is love? You know, Yeah, no, yeah, it does. So, okay, so they're having a debate back there. It's like, did Delilah love Samson? You know, it's like I said, sometimes it's not a situation where you can say, oh, you're in love, and you're not in love, and you're in love. You know, love leads people to do stupid things. You know, people do stupid things in the name of love. And this is why we need boundaries. I don't know if you know, changing the word is going to change the situation. So?
I just wanted to add a little bit on that about the confusion with love. I think that also has to do with pride. A lot of people they don't know the specific word of love. A lot of English words get misused and given extra definitions. So people are afraid to say that I don't know. And because once they know their definition of love, they're going to seep into their own heart and they're going to find something that they don't like about themselves. So they're just afraid.
But it goes back to what I was saying to begin with. It's like, you first of all, you need to determine what it is that you mean by love. Go ahead.
So, as I'm thinking, love, and not knowing if I'm going to explain it, what I'm thinking properly, but love based upon the foundation. You can't change your word love. Are you going to say the God of Israel does not love his people Israel?
Well, you know what?
Because if you change that word love, then you're going to change everything about who we are.
You know,
go ahead.
No, you make a very good point, because at the end of the day, right, the reason why the contract is in place is it's a protection, so that I know I can protect me from anything that you decide to do that's outside of what we agree to, or what in my heart I've agreed to. You know, I would say these are the things that I would accept for another person to say they love me, right? Or for me to say that I love another person. But if you cross that boundary, then you can't expect the same kind of relationship, right? And you're right. You know, the God of Israel, he's like, we've broken this so many times that he's just got to, you know what, I can't deal with you guys. You know what, I think you need to leave, and I will just go and turn my face this way for a little while. And 400 years later, he's thinking about it, right?
And I do agree with that, because I think love is based upon growth also. I think from a baby, yes, you have that emotion, and you do fall in love with the child. You do fall in love with the face and the cheeks and all that. But as the child grows, there's certain things that you don't like.
You don't like
about the child
behavior, this
right?
pattern.
But because you love the child, you accept certain things about the child. But you don't just throw away the child. Yeah. It's the child has to break the contract, the parent and the child contract. Yeah. Yes. Then everything changes, because there is a contract, even with the child.
Right. You're right.
That's
why when people say, oh, unconditional love, really? Really? It's like, they will say this because they have never been there, right? And most of the time, people don't even know that they're in love until it actually is broken, right? Until those boundaries are broken or something happens, like, okay, what do I do now?
So what I like about this is the fact that even though the God of Israel had to punish us for our disobedience, and he turned his back or his face, wherever, he has not chosen anyone else to replace us.
Amen.
So that love is really deep when you think about it.
That is such a beautiful, beautiful point. Absolutely. No. You got to give it to him. That was such a beautiful point. And it is. You know why? You know why that's happened? There are clauses in the contract, but it's an everlasting contract. Everlasting contract, right? So he keeps his side of the bargain, and he would always keep his side. But what do? You know, it's an everlasting contract. It's not a contract to be renewed or to be, you know, set up again. When we baptize, it's just one time. When we're born, it's just the one time, right? It's just one time. one contract, one God, one body, one nation, one baptism. It's about one spirit. Right? One spirit on Israel. You can't do something that is contrary to the spirit and say that you are part of. Who are you lying to? You're breaking your own contract. You're breaking your own integrity. Right? You're becoming misaligned. So when I was thinking about the depth of love, I thought about, as I mentioned before, Abraham and Sarah. But you know, one other person that it touched me to the core, and I want you to turn quickly to 1 Samuel 18. First Samuel 18. Okay.
Oh no, just to Colin's question there in regards to Delilah. It's not that Delilah, we didn't change it that she didn't love Samson. The issue was that she put duty over love. At the end of the day, love is not, I could love you, but when it comes to you or my God, I'm choosing my God. So I am putting the God of Israel over you. So it's not that, I could still say, I love you, but at the end of the day, it was duty over love. And that's what I believe it was.
No, you know what? There are so many ways you can actually have a look at that. You know, so many ways you can look at that. And I do agree. I mean, who is to say? It's like, as I said before, you can't turn around and say, no, you don't love him, you don't love him. It's like, I don't know, maybe you really did love him. Maybe you really did. But you know what? Maybe somebody was threatening your life. You know, maybe, I don't know. I don't know what all the parameters are and what you decide to, you know, to forego or to keep. You know, so again, that's very challenging. But I do believe that, you know, that love, that spirit, that connection is a real connection, and it's very strong. And that's why I say when a man looks at his baby, you know, remember the woman, she's just carrying this baby, but she's fortunate enough to share her everything, her spirituality with that baby while the baby's inside of her, right? But the guy doesn't get that. But as soon as he sees the baby, it's like, oh my gosh. It's like, wow. And so if he said, you know, it's so cute and so lovely, it's like, you would not want to see any harm come to this child, that you would defend that child with your life. And you imagine, this is our God. You imagine, this is our God. And even when he gave us the Christ, do you know how hard that must be? He gave us the Christ, knowing full well what we were capable of. That's, oh my gosh, that's my goodness. If a guy feels this way without carrying a child, imagine how the God of Israel feels when it comes to us, his people. Let's take it to 1 Samuel 18. Time just flies, oh my gosh. Anyways, and it says here, and it came to pass when he had made an end of speaking unto Saul. Now this is just after David, you know, he slew the Goliath, and you know, Saul was like, oh my goodness, you are the greatest thing since sliced bread. It's like, it was just wonderful occasion, right? So now Jonathan is speaking in this situation. And it came to pass when he had made an end of speaking unto Saul, that the soul of Jonathan was knit with the soul of David. Do you see what I'm saying? Love is a deep thing. It's deep, very deep. It was knit with the soul of Jonathan. Yes, my dear.
Yes, just to bring some points together. As Colin said, change the name. Changing the name will not, changing the word will not change love. At the end of the day, it comes down to a person's character. So if I go into a marriage, I made a commitment, I have a contract. So based on my character, I would have stated the parameters for that love. So I love you, but I won't put up with this or that. Now people go in with self-agenda. So So they have their own agenda, and their agenda had nothing to do with you. It had to do with them. Whatever their goals are, or what they think they could achieve by going to this union, you know, it will show itself eventually. The God of Israel went into a contract with Israel. He loved Israel. He had conditions. If you love me, keep my commandments. The Christ said, if you follow and walk in the way I walk and do the things I do, you will show that you love me. You love my Father.
Well, you know what? You made a very good point. And it's about how you behave. It is absolutely how you behave, right? Because you speak one thing, words can sometimes become wind. You know, not always, but sometimes they become wind. So you're just saying it. And this is the problem that we have with Christianity and all these different philosophies, because their words are wind. It just takes flight and goes all over the place. There's no volume, there's no depth, there's no buoyancy, there's nothing, right? It just flies away. Yes, sir.
I can't think of a greater love than what the God of Israel has given to us. Just think of him sharing himself through the Christ. There's nothing greater than that. And even when we disobeyed, as I said before, he did not kick us out. He chose a very small remnant.
Absolutely.
Right? So the fact that we are still there, we're still subject to that marriage contract, that's amazing. I can't think of anything greater than that.
Yes. No, absolutely. You know, and the funny thing is, I completely agree. But one of the things I have to say is that, you know, even though we look at this book and we read this book and we know our God is not one-dimensional. So when people say, oh, God is love. Okay, and he's not one-dimensional. There is so much more to him, right? There is so much more, and this is why I love our book. So going back to David and Jonathan, because this to me is like, when you talk about love, let's look at it. Let's look at it right here. So again, I'm going to read it over again because we've got to get back into that momentum. And it says here, and it came to pass when he had made an end of speaking unto Saul, that the soul of Jonathan was knit with the soul of David, and Jonathan loved him as his own soul. One of the first things that Elder always says, who is the most important person in your life? Right, it's easy to say the God of Israel, but if you don't love you, then you're not going to do the things that's required that the God of Israel wants you to do. So it's like you're always putting it out there. No, you got to put it back. You have to show it in you, because if you love you, then you would know how to behave when you're dealing with the God of Israel, right? You would know that. It's like, I love me enough to know that my garments has to be spotless. Why? Because I'm going to praise the best God in the whole world, right? My garment's going to be like, you know, okay, I always say to myself, or I say to people, sorry about this, Elder, sorry. I always say to people that if you really want to know about being an Israelite, hang out with our elder. And you know why? He's not going to go through, oh, did you read Isaiah 61 today? Did you read it? Oh, yeah, I told you the last time about Hebrews 9. Oh, he's not going to go, no. He lives his life. And, you know, and this is the one example that really always gets to me. It's like, it's so beautiful. It's like, okay, it's coming down. I hope I'm not giving away too much, but it's just one of the things that I really admire. It's coming down to a new moon, for example. And he says, I've got to wash my gown. So you know what? So we're talking and we're whatever. It's like, no, I can't drink because I've got to wash my gown. And I'm like, oh, wow. That's taking it to another level. That's taking it to another level. This shows how much he loves the God of Israel, because he wants to make sure that everything that he does, everything he puts his hands to, everything that he thinks about is perfect for the God of Israel. It is perfect. And that goes back, and I saw it in the comments earlier, somebody mentioned it, and I want to mention it too. When the God of Israel says, walk before me and be thou perfect, there's no manuscript on perfection. What is perfection to you? No, perfection is cleaning my Bible, making sure no one else touches it, putting my stuff away and, putting it in. I've seen people, and I'm sorry, I'm going to put it out there. They got their garments in a plastic bag. I'm sorry. A plastic bag. How dare you? That's just like, to me, that's so rude. It's like you throw it in a plastic. That's your uniform. Come on, guys. You want to present yourself before the King of Israel, and you got your garment. If someone was doing cleaning up, they would take it and throw it out. It's like, what is that? Sorry, sir.
No, that's very good. So I'm listening to the comments, and my dear brother Colin said that we should get rid of the word love. But I would like to pose this.
We're not letting this go, are we?
This is a question because he did. Colin said it. Pastor Colin said it. But I say this: what is the greatest commandment? And the greatest commandment is to love the Lord thy God with all thy heart,
with all thy soul, with all thy being.
All my brethren know it.
Yes.
And the second, like unto the first,
yes,
which is again to love your as yourself. So
absolutely.
As the same family. So I can't really get rid of that word because
I don't think
Christ
he was saying
himself,
to get rid of it.
He
was saying to you to, in certain situations, to change the word.
In our private conversations behind this mic, let's get rid of it. Let's change it to another word, like or action.
But
could you imagine? Could you imagine?
Yeah. But you know what? You make a very good point. Thank you very much. It is very true. We don't want to get rid of the word love because, you don't know what... It's like throwing a baby out with the bathwater. That's what we would say. We don't want to be doing that because you just don't know, right? Anyways, going back to David and Jonathan. This is not going to happen today, is it? I had this whole thing about, okay. And it says here in verse 2, it says, and Saul took him that day and would let him go no more home to his father's house. Then Jonathan and David this is the bit I want to get to. Then Jonathan and David made a covenant because he loved him as his own soul. To me, when you love somebody, there has to be a covenant, there has to be some kind of agreement. People will look at it today and it's like, oh, well, what are you talking about? You can't put rules around love. Oh, yes, you can. You can, and this is why David and Jonathan, they had a covenant because this was something so deep. It's like, when you read the story, which we don't have time to go into, Jonathan defies his own father for the soul of his soul. The person that he loved like his soul. It's such a beautiful story when you think about that deep connection with another person. Today it gets all perverted. But this is what love is. It's like, I would do whatever it is for you. I would do whatever it is within reason because there is a boundary. You have to. A covenant shows you what those boundaries are. And if you are going into love and there is no covenant or no boundary, then you're in trouble, right? You're in trouble. Should I tell you why? Because somebody's going to break that boundary, break that covenant, and then you're just going to continue on and continue on and continue on. There's a book out there somewhere called Women Who Love Too Much, for example. And I give that as an example because they'll get hit and then they'll go back, hit, go back, go. It's a thing, it happens. Why? Because they have no boundaries. Nobody taught them how to create boundaries. No one taught them the importance of a covenant. No one taught them to love themselves. Because if you love yourself, you would not allow another person to treat you that way, right? The God of Israel is the epitome of this example. Oh gosh, look at the time. My goodness, it's there was one book I really, really wanted to go to. There were so many books I wanted to go to. One in particular there was Ezekiel, let's see. First of all, I want to go quickly to 2 Chronicles 16, 16:9, and then I'll just wrap it up because look at this. This is how much the God of Israel loves his people. And I love this scripture, with this verse in particular. It says here, "For the eyes of the Lord run to and fro throughout the whole earth to show himself strong in the behalf of them whose heart is perfect towards him. Herein thou hast done foolishly, therefore from henceforth thou shalt have wars." But before that, to me, I have this vision in my head. Like I said, being a visual person. He's just waiting. It's like, any kind of trouble you have, Karen, I'm just waiting to fight your battle. Because I don't want you to get hurt. I don't want nothing to happen to you. I'm ready to fight your battle. He's sitting there. He's sitting there, Rachel. He's sitting there waiting for you to just say, Father. And it's like, okay, come on, guys. We've got to get the military out. We've got to get them out, get the guns out, whatever it is. He's waiting to fight our battle. This is how much we mean to him. He's just waiting for those that's really steadfast with him so that he can go and fight their battle. This is the God that we are dealing with. Amen? Amen? Oh my gosh. This is the God that we are dealing with. This is the God that slew Pharaoh, that annihilated him and his whole armies, that even today they can't even get the story straight. Even today they're still looking for evidence and proof and what's not and everything. Why? Because they understand, they know deep down inside that they are dealing with the true and living God. Like the people of old used to know. They used to say, oh my gosh, could you get your God to pray for us even though we worship Baal or whatever? They used to, get your God to pray for us. Make sure that your God doesn't deal too harshly with us. Please, I pray thee, speak to your God. It's like, wow. Wow. And then you're going to go home and carve out something and then go and pray to it and put some bananas around it. That's what you do. That's what you do. It's like, anyhow. But this is the God that we are dealing with. We are dealing with such a creator. You can't mess with this God. And that's why when you read this, it's like, yes, write yourself. We have so many opportunities. We have our new moons and our Sabbaths. We have, all of the statutes to write ourselves. This is a reset. Okay, oh my gosh, it's new moon. Reset myself. Let me try and do things right again, for the 100th time. This is the time to reset so we can continue on in this path. It's not an easy path. But you know what? We often make it difficult ourselves. Why? Because we lose that integrity. Why? Because we refuse to acknowledge the boundaries that we claim to have set. And then all of a sudden, you've got some girl that's saying, oh, but you promised that you'll stay with me this weekend. And then what happens? You promised, but you said, it's like, oh, okay. And then one weekend turns to like 5 weekends. And then it's like, and then you're trying to come back and then other things start happening. Oh, my car's broken. Oh, this is happening. And then you can't get back because you start to break your own boundaries. It's like that bridge. Then all of a sudden, because you've opened it so many times, the hinges become all loose, right? Yeah, all worn out. So before you know it, just like flops open, it flops closed. There's no integrity. That's why we have to keep on reading so we remember to set our boundaries. Oh my goodness, look at the time. I wanted to go into Ezekiel 16 because to me, that would sum it all up. What? It would sum it up. But we don't have that opportunity. Time just flew by and I didn't even read anything. Oh my goodness. But you understand, I know this love is a very hot subject, very hot topic. It goes into so many different areas, but I do hope that you have an appreciation for our Father, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob, and the true nature of his love when it comes to his people, not the world, because he doesn't have a book like this for the whole world. It's just Israel, right? This is the covenant. This everlasting covenant, remember, the everlasting covenant was just for Israel. Nobody else, nobody else. And remember, he made the ultimate sacrifice by giving us his Christ, right? And when I think about that, that to me is deep, because it was such a big thing. He sacrificed his begotten son. Now, this is his sacrifice. But his commitment to us is in this book. So thank you for joining us. Thank you, everybody on the chat, for your donations. Thank you for your comments, your questions. Thank you for being a part of this amazing nation, this wonderful lesson. Thank you very much. And even thank you to our elder Shadrach, who taught us that before you can love, truth must come first. Thank you. Peace.